Welcome to the channel. I am your host, Tetsu0mega, and this is Tetsuo Loves Wrestling. Now, today's episode, I've got a lot of things to talk about, like the history of wrestling, what is wrestling, and the rules of wrestling. Now, we're going to start off by asking the big question, what is wrestling? Now, wrestling was, or still is, this is the oldest sport in the world. It is a showcase of two people, like all physical sports. Fighting sports is one-on-one, and whoever it's a show of dominance. Sue is the victor, who comes out on top. Whether it's a submission or pin, but there was no punching back then. Now, what is wrestling now? Now, wrestling is rules. If like everything, it needs rules. Like all sports, it has rules. No matter what it is, it needs rules. Now, with wrestling, it's the same thing. Wrestling is different. It's not like mixed martial arts. Although it has some wrestlers do mixed martial arts, even though it's ridiculous in wrestling because shouldn't be any punching. But mixed martial arts is a legitimate thing where, and of course it's bribed, but it's people literally hitting each other, and someone who's knocked out or gives up loses. Wrestling is determined by Vince McMahon, and he's brought out. It's always been that way. That wrestling is in fact predetermined. It is entertainment. So with that knowing, I mean it's been like that all the time. It's just been kayfabe. It's what the term is, kayfabe. Before Vince McMahon came out and said, "Hey, it's entertainment, regardless if you get a tax break or not. It is what it is. It is a predetermined match, regardless if it was a script or by ear." I mean, sometimes they, everything's written down. Macho Man was one of them who did everything down. Stone Cold was not. They call the match as it was, but it was predetermined. But now, what is wrestling? That's the big question. I still think it needs rules, even though it has a predetermined, but it needs rules during the course of the match so they can tell the story like they want to tell the story. So it needs rules within that. Otherwise, it would just be a bunch of adults just playing slap ass in a ring, I think. Playing slap ass in a ring. It doesn't make any sense. If anything can happen in a ring, think they need rules. Now, here it is. I'll just lay it down. So we determine what the playing field is. Like all sports, it's inside the square. Outside the square is out of bounds. Okay, so if you want to get a pin in wrestling, you got to get them inside the ring. Submission inside the ring. Outside, it doesn't count because they're out of bounds. Now, here's the thing. If you are pinning somebody or giving someone a submission hold, and they do somehow get their hand on the rope or break the bounds of the rope, they are now considered an extension of out of bounds. Therefore, they cannot get pinned. They are not in the playing field anymore. So they've got to break the hold. Or they just won't count. Regarding pin, they won't count the submission, and they will not count the pin. They won't count anymore, period. But now we got to determine what is out of bounds, what is outside, which is outside the ring. And out of bounds, a lot of wrestlers take advantage of this. I've been a days, they used to. When they get tired, they'd roll out of the ring, and depending on the federation, they'd get between a 10 to 20 count by the ref. Might be fast, might be slow. It's not really predetermined what it is. So they basically have the time to recoup what not get back in the ring. If they do not comply with the count in time, the match is now void. They forfeit. It is now disqualified. They're out. So that's that. So they got to get back in the ring, and the fight continues. Okay, so now inside the ropes. Now, you can also seek refuge, refuge in the ropes. So if you're getting beaten real bad, or if you're being, it's just, if you like now with the submission, get to the ropes, and the rough breakers are now outside. Or if you're in the ropes, if you're getting hurt, you get to the ropes, and they're giving you some serious beatings. They're still on you. Now you're outside. You're now in the safe zone. The safe zone. So now you got a 5-second by the ref's count to stop what you're doing because you're no longer fighting a legal competitor. So that's what it is. So 5 seconds to stop. Hey, listen, this guy's got to get off the ropes. Let's get this in the ring in the legal fighting area. Otherwise, you're disqualified. And that's what it is. Now, with matter of climbing on top of the ropes to jump on a competitor, they are considered outside of the ring when they're climbing on top of the ropes. So they should. It's not like they shouldn't go on the ropes. No one shouldn't get outside the ring. It's up to them. The rules are the rules. So if they don't comply, it's like, hey, they want to take a break, they take a break. But they got a certain amount of time to get back in the ring. It's up to them to get back in the ring or not in the time. So it's not up to the referee to scold them for not being out there or whatnot, including the ropes. So when they're climbing on top of the ropes, they're outside the ring. I think it should be a full 5 count to get off that. Otherwise, it would be disqualification, just like punching somebody, I suppose. It's like the advantage. And I think it should be taken like that. Now, and the biggest thing within the singles matches is disqualifications for outside interference. Now, I think it's important to know that as soon as someone comes into the ring outside to attack somebody, it's instant disqualification. Now, the person who is being attacked is usually the one who wins, because it is assumed that the one who is not being attacked is being helped to win the match, therefore he is disqualified. It is what it is. Sometimes the refs, it is what it is. So that's how it's determined. And how people play that is how people play that. It is what it is. Okay, so now the big thing with this, disqualification. No, not really disqualification. Now we'll get into the one big topic, I think. A lot of federations have dropped the ball. The tag team division. Now, the WWE have a tag team division, and they constantly drop the ball. Women's tag team division, really, they've got nothing. Men, okay, they got some tag teams, but they just throw people together all the time. They have no natural tag teams. They never will. All the natural tag teams they have, they will not last. Women's side especially. Men's side, they have a couple, but any serious tag teams, they are gone. They're not treated seriously. The tag team division is not treated seriously at all. Now, there are other federations out there, clearly, that have a better respect of the tag teams. They have people, they have legitimate tag teams, and they have long-term tag teams. You have Major League, a little bit. You have, Ring of Honor, tons of tag teams. Now, I'd say all elite, but right now, with things being the way it is, with the zeitgeist being the way it is, the live shows no longer, and traveling is difficult now. So I can, but elite, theoretically, their roster is pretty thick. But it doesn't. The tag team division is crazy because there's no real rules. They just whenever it's ridiculous. But here's what I think. Here's what the rules should be in tag team. Now, there should be only 2 teams involved in the tag team match. Any more than 2 teams, it has no rules, so it doesn't matter. The ref is just there to count the pin or the submission if someone gives up. That's it. Now, a regular tag team should be 2 teams. 2 teams. How many people in a team? Maybe up to 5 people is reasonable, because any more than that is ridiculous. So one person from each team is represented inside the fighting circle, inside the playing area. Everybody else will have to be on the outside. Now, where the people who are not competing and the wrestlers who want to be tagged in have to be in the proper designated area. The designated area is put there by the tag rope. The tag rope is so long and can only reach so far, and that is the area in which the person must stand. They must have contact with the rope as well, so they can be legally tagged in to come into the match. Now, this is where rules come in, and this is where tag team advantage comes in play. Now, you go in for the tag. You tag your partner, and as soon as both of you and your teammate are in the ring, both feet are in the ring, both you and your tag team partner, the ref will now give you a count of 5. Regardless if it's fast or slow, it's up to him. But you have a count of 5 to have a double team advantage. And that's why tag team wrestling is so important, to be a familiar tag team, because they can create these fantastic moves that they have 5 seconds to do. So they got to choreograph these things. So then, okay, you're a natural team. You've been there for a while. You know what you're going to do. You set up a move. You have 5 seconds to do it. Legal. Done. And then after the 5 seconds, you take too long. The ref will say, okay, listen, the person who's now illegal, no longer illegal in the ring, will be asked to leave the ring, because it's a one-on-one match. The advantage is now over. He will leave the ring. If he does not leave the ring, he will forfeit the match for the team. The disqualification. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. But don't do that. It's ridiculous. Now, also, now for a pin. This is the most important thing. This is what always gets me. Right now, if your team is getting pinned and you can do something about it, you go in and just break the pin. It doesn't matter as many times as you want. Does not matter. People go in a ring, they run up around. There should be only one-on-one. Everybody should be escorted out of the ring, or they've got a 5 count. Not even. Well, yeah. Okay, so this is falling apart. That's where wrestling always falls apart in tag teams. But, like I say, for pins, they should be allowed one breakup for a partner. That's it. Second time is disqualification. It's delay of game, whatever. Disqualification, you have to have depend on your partner and a match will end. So you gotta pick and choose your spot. When you want to interfere with the match, that's when you choose. You gotta take it easy. You just can't run in the ring too, because it's a one-on-one match. You can't do that, because that also, I think it's considered a. So we gotta get things together. We gotta get things more competitive in the ring. A little more rules in wrestling. Because without rules, you just have a bunch of guys in the ring playing slap ass, and who wants that? Not many people. But I think right now, with the empty arenas, wrestlers have making a choice. They've got to. They can no longer pander to the crowd. Wrestling is that. It's pandering. How you set your match is how you listen to the crowd. They react well. You change your matchup and do something funny. Sometimes it's a lot of showboating. It's a lot of now they can't, because they can't feed off anything. They can't feed off the cameras. Doesn't give you any feedback. You know. But that's been Tetsuo Loves Wrestling, and I am Tetsu0mega, signing out. Bye now.